everyone, and today I'm here to review the new Allie Carter book, which is Winterborne Home for Vengeance and Valor. This is actually her middle grade debut, which I find so funny because I first read Allie Carter when I was in middle school. I started with her spy series, which the name escapes me of the first one now, but basically like the I tell you I love you but then I have to kill you or whatever series, and that was a YA one in middle school, and now like years later she finally has her middle grade debut, which I honestly did not even know this was coming out. I just randomly saw it one day and I was really intrigued by the premise. It definitely has a kind of mysterious Benedict society and kind of almost Lemony Snicket vibe to it, in that these kids are very smart and intelligent, but they also have the Lemony Snicket aspect of like nothing ever seems to go right for them. The main character though, her name is April, and at the beginning it's before she actually enters the Winterborne home, and her whole backstory is that she was left by her mom at, I believe it was a fire station when she was just a baby, and all that was left with her was a note that said like, I'll be back soon or when I can, and this locket that she's had for her whole life. And the book starts with her in her like foster home that she stays at. They're going to a museum, and at this museum is a big collection of stuff from the Winterborne family. Now the Winterborne family is kind of a legacy around where she lives, and I believe kind of like in the whole country as well. That was one thing that was a little confusing about this book, was I wasn't sure exactly time period wise when it took place, because it felt very not modern in that like they didn't talk a lot about like the broader aspect of like, you know, social media, like phones, stuff like that, but it definitely still did take place in modern time because they had phones, they had like newspaper, like they had the stuff, but it just didn't feel like a modern time period, which I kind of actually liked because it made it so you weren't so worried about everything else. But anyway, the Winterborne family is this family that was very happy, very successful, very rich, and they had a lot of kids, and one day before April was born, they all went out on a trip on a boat, and something happened on the boat, a terrible accident, and only one of the kids survived and came back. Everyone else passed away. And this kid was basically raised as like the last heir of the Winterborne fortune, blah blah. But what ended up happening was when he came of age, he just disappeared. So now there's a whole legacy around, is he alive, is he dead, and this kind of fight for his inheritance in a way, because by the time he's been missing for a certain amount of years, his fortune will go to his uncle, and all the kids will get kicked out of Winterborne House because that's what they're using, like the house and the money and everything is what they're using to house these kids. So what starts this all off is at the museum, April realizes that the necklace she has actually like matches kind of what the Winterborne collection is about, so she sneaks in to try and figure out how exactly this could connect, because this is kind of like the only clue she's gotten to her mother, and in doing so she accidentally starts a fire in the museum that burns the whole thing down, knocks her the frick out, and she is rescued by some unknown person and then taken to the hospital, where the caregiver of kind of like the lady that's in charge of all the kids for Winterborne comes and says that they want to take her to Winterborne, and that really it's her best option because she started a fire, so like they'll make that go away if she comes to Winterborne with them. And it sounds super sketchy, but Winterborne is actually a very nice place. It's kind of, it had that like old vibe, like I got like Knives Out kind of mansion, you know, where it's very old-fashioned, but then the more April starts to explore, because she's trying to find out how exactly her necklace fits into this Winterborne legacy, and is trying to figure out what exactly the key is, literally, because it's a key, but she starts realizing that there's way more secrets to this, and secret passages and all that, and in exploring it, she ends up coming upon Gabriel, who is not dead, but has been hiding, kind of just living his life in the basement kind of part of the mansion for who knows how many years, and doesn't want to come out and, you know, reveal that he's alive anymore, because he knows that someone tried to kill his family and he's like the last person, and before he disappeared he was having like moments of people trying to kill him. So April and the other kids kind of band together to try and protect him and also solve this mystery of her key, what exactly Gabriel is running from, how they can protect him, and the whole thing is basically trying to work with him because he's a grumpy old person who, you know, has been not had a lot of social interaction in the last 10 years. So the whole thing is them working together, and it really gave me like very, you know, found family vibes, which I really like. Like it was similar to, I would say, like the Neil Patrick Harris The Magic series, in that it's these kids that on paper they have nothing in common really, but then the more they talk, they realize that in being abandoned or having their parents die or being, you know, like in the case of April, having her mom literally just yeet and be like, bye, they all have something in common in that they've learned how to survive and how to figure out things and see things in a way that other people maybe won't. And they all have their really unique like skill sets. Like one girl's an inventor, one kid is super smart and like a con artist basically in the making. There's this adorable little girl who really doesn't talk a lot, but she sees practically everything because she's so, you know, tiny and quiet that no one ever really realizes she's there. So she picks up more, and there's this whole mystery that they kind of start to unravel, and it's just really entertaining and really interesting, and I think a great middle grade debut. I'm really, really excited to read the next one. This one ended on a pretty solid note, but then there's also this kind of whole cliffhanger kind of end note that it ended it on, where you think something that you kind of assumed and that April assumed the whole book is not actually true, and I think that's what the next book is going to be about. And then there's this continuing whole mystery of her mother, who is obviously somehow related to the Winterborns. I don't know if perhaps maybe she's one of Gabriel's siblings that somehow also survived the accident, but then instead of going back, realized what happened earlier than Gabriel did and just decided to go into hiding or something like that. But then it begs the question, why would she leave April? Like, where did she go instead? Kind of that stuff. I think April was such an awesome main character. She was like so sassy and independent, and I really like the whole like thing she had to realize of that she could depend on other people, because I think that was her whole thing throughout the book, was just being like left by her mom, not really bouncing around from places. She never really depended on people. She didn't trust them to stick around, and that was kind of what she had to learn with the other kids, is that like they're there, they're gonna listen if you take the time to like explain and not just do stuff on your own. So I think it was a really amazing book. I highly, highly recommend it. It's very entertaining. It's a middle grade book obviously, but I think it also reads very well as just a book in general. It's very entertaining, and the kids are all very interesting, and the whole mystery around like the Winterborne thing, trying to figure that out along with the kids, is very entertaining. And I think just it's a fantastic setup to hopefully what will be a new series. I really, like I said, can't wait till the second book to see what's going to happen with that, now that everything's kind of more established in a way without being spoilery. So if you've read this book or are interested in reading this book, please feel free to leave your thoughts about it down in the comments. Also make sure this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!